Good morning. Good morning. It's Wednesday, April 13th, 2022. You have somehow landed on the Deerwood Realty Livestream page. Yes. Gosh, I'm looking at myself and I'm looking awful festive for the day, but whatever. How are you? We are in our 44th consecutive live stream. What does that mean to you? Nothing. It just means that there's 43 other ones, I guess, that you could see that came up in a row, and then there's probably another 100 or more. Still getting over the trim I did on the beard. It was aggressive. But anyway, where are we going today? Where should we be going? What should we be looking at? Well, I have all these. I've got to put in all these listings where I went to go see them, and then the houses went under contract. Of course, we didn't get them. Of course, I say, because that's the way the market is right now. It's just a terrible time. If you're a buyer, if you're a seller, you're thrilled, unless you have to buy another house, and then you're miserable. So, yesterday, went to lunch, had a wonderful lunch, thought that was going to be the start of a great day. Managed to eat too much, food coma, didn't get anything done till like 6 last night. Maybe it was for the best. Right around when I started getting going again, I got an email that said that I didn't get, one of my offers was rejected for a house for one of my buyers. And so that was, that was cherry on the top type situation. I worked like heck on editing last night, only to end up making a big mistake on the social media platform. And so it went, there's no sound. And basically my social media stuff is me talking. So that went well. I haven't really gotten into the day. I haven't really checked the news. I don't really know what's going on. And right now I'm in a situation where I just have to catch up. I just have a ton of stuff going on that I need to catch up on. Today's the perfect day. There's supposed to be a terrible thunderstorm. Tornadoes possible this afternoon here in St. Louis. I'll be in my office and hopefully the power doesn't go out while I'm working. That's really the day. It's really the day. So anyway, do we just get into stuff? Do we not even, I worry about getting into stuff too early because, number one, then I have nothing to clip for any of my stuff, my live streams or anything like that. And number two, I don't want you to think that I don't want you to think that I don't want you to think that I don't want to get, I'm trying to stay relaxed. I just got a text from one of my buyer's agents. She was letting me know the commission split for a property that was currently listed. And I guess that'll give me something to talk about for the next 2 minutes. So even in a strong market, the worst thing you can do is short the buyer's agent if you're the seller. Why? Because it's just stupid, basically. Just don't do it. I don't even want to get into it. I was going to get into this long discussion about how when you short the buyer's agent, that's not good. But people right now, when houses are flying off the shelves, take advantage of the buyer's agent as best they can. We're the ones showing the houses to people that can't buy them because there's 30 other offers. It's really not a good time to be a real estate agent. I had a friend asked me yesterday, "Hey, let's talk about this in a way. Let's break it down in two different ways." I had a friend ask me, "Hey, I'm going to get into real estate part time. What do you think of that?" I'm like, I think that's a good idea. And I was like, I'm currently in the worst run of my career. Like, why would you want to get into real estate? There were like 6,000 new agents in our city just last year. And you want to play in this pool? Like, you think that's a good idea? But that's a person that I liked, right? That's somebody that I care about and I think the world of. If I were a normal real estate broker and a normal real estate agent, if somebody came to me and said, "Hey, I think I got it. I think I can be in real estate. I think that's going to be a good thing," I'd say, go ahead and try. Seems like a great idea. Two different answers for two different people. If you think you can make it in the real estate world, go for it. I mean, I'm not afraid of competition because I'm getting stomped at this point. So, yeah, go ahead. I think people have this. I mean, you see it on social media a lot of times. Somebody will be like 22 years old and they'll say they own like 12 apartments and they're just, everything's great in their life. And, it's really bizarre. I guess they're living the dream. I don't know. My life's never been that way. Never been that way. Never had one moment where I'm like, wow, everything's just great. This is wonderful. Can't be better. I don't know. Like, you never see the TikTok that's like, I bought 17 houses and they're all in foreclosure and I'm going to lose everything. Like, you never see that one. Why is that? Why is that? Why do you only see good TikToks for real estate? Why is there never a bad one? Is real estate always good to everyone but me? What's that about? Like, I see this one where the guy's like, well, you just have to buy all these places. Okay. And then you use leverage. We're going to leverage our house on something else. And you know what? Use credit cards. That's a great plan. Just buy property. You'll never make a mistake as long as you buy real estate. It's like, that seems like great advice. That seems like something that will go over real well. And you never see that dude again. Like 5 years from now, you don't see that guy. Did he make so much money he doesn't have to be on TikTok now? What's going on with that? Anyway, I don't want to hurt you guys too much with the real world. Let's just stay in social media fake land. Yeah. So we got that. I don't know. Let's just get into it. Maybe we'll do 3 articles today instead of 2. First thing I wanted to show you guys was the interest rate. That's right here. Now, this is not, you can't go into the bank tomorrow and get this interest rate. This is the survey for the national mortgages, and you'll probably be a couple percent or a couple points higher than this. So like, I'd say for 5.12, you'd probably be at like 5.25. 5.23. But anyway, let's look at that because the 30-year fixed is 5.12. Now we're up above 5% on a mortgage for a 30-year fixed. That's not great. But it is less than it was yesterday, which was 5.25%. Now you say, John, why did you just give me that number? You need to know, like in this market where things are so messed up, the higher the interest rates go, the more tightening that will occur. But what I think is going to happen is people are going to just eat it. And I'm not proud of that, but with inflation, just every month, just grabbing a little more of your wallet, it's going to make it so that you can't afford this stuff at some point. I mean, we're still going to Starbucks and we're still spending all kinds of money everywhere else, but it could all come to an end. Now, am I predicting that things come to an end? No, because you never really know what's going to happen. So anyway, what are we at? 5.12%. So figure if you go and get a mortgage right now, lock in, probably be like 5.30%, 5.25, somewhere around there. Use that in your calculations. That's another thing. I'm seeing houses come back on the market. Why? Because people don't realize they got a pre-approval 6 months ago at like 3%. And then you could get it in the 2s as of July. And then they've been looking at houses, haven't been able to buy anything, finally get something under contract, don't realize that the mortgage rates have changed so dramatically that they can't possibly win. It's bad. Like, they can win, but I mean, they can't possibly pay for a 30-year fixed at that number. it wasn't going to work. So, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Let's look at our Google Trends article of the day. I didn't see it. I don't want to do death every day. So I don't really always want to do sports every day, even though sports are kind of compelling at times. This I thought was interesting. This was a story out of CNBC. And I think it speaks to a larger, trend in how we do things now. Whenever there's an issue, okay, like say Corona, I know my live stream is just going to go to nothing on search, but anyway, the companies aren't stupid. They took what was something that everyone was dealing with, and then they used it to market. They marketed stuff from it. And so they're going to do the same thing with inflation. It's going to be a tool for marketing. And is that okay? I don't know. But anyway, that's what happens. The war in Ukraine is used to market. Now you have to do it carefully. If you do it wrong, people will say, well, you're trying to exploit a crisis. You are trying to exploit a crisis, but you're supposed to act like you're not. And in this particular case with these companies, they're going to pretend that they're benevolent. So that's going to be great. So cheaper donuts, free gas cards, and more. Retailers and restaurants woo consumers who are feeling pain at the pump. This was from today. It says Krispy Kreme, Bojangles, and Walmart-owned Sam's Club are among the companies that are picking up on Americans' pain on the pump. They're marketing off of the fact that people are paying at the pump. It says some companies are dangling fuel-related discounts or perks to try to drive more foot traffic and sales as inflation weighs on consumers' wallets. Retailers will get fresh clues about how consumers are responding to those prices on Thursday as the Commerce Department reports retail sales in March. Okay. It says, along with fried chicken, biscuits, and iced tea, family meals at Southern fast food chain Bojangles now include a free $10 gas card, which is pretty amazing if you think about it. At select Krispy Kreme shops, the price of a dozen glazed donuts has dropped temporarily on Wednesdays to cut drivers a break as they pay more for gallons of gas. Companies are dangling gas-related perks as Americans feel pain in the pump. And some are starting to make choices about where to trim back the budget. Warehouse clubs, including Walmart-owned Sam's Club and BJ's Wholesale, have rolled out special promotions to emphasize cheaper gas as a key membership benefit. Grocers, including Kroger and Giant Eagle, are touting fuel programs that turn customers' grocery spending into a lower price per gallon. We are an automobile economy, said Jackie Woodward, Bojangles' chief brand and marketing officer. It is something that really hits at the heart of how people go about their lives, and I think that's why it's resonating with our customers. So this company has come out and said that we are an automobile economy. Now, the Biden administration doesn't care. We shouldn't be an automobile economy. We should be a green economy. Hence the difficulty in our current situation. They're tone deaf, absolutely tone deaf. Bojangles began out handing $1 million in gas gift cards last week at a company-owned restaurants and franchises, many of which are in states in the South, especially hit hard by inflation. I've noticed over my years and years of reading news that if you're in the southeastern states, you are always going to be considered poorer than the northeasterners and the midwesterners. If you're on the coast, you're probably pretty good. But the bias that exists to the south, I mean, as it's looked down on in the national media, is amazing, and how they get away with it year after year is pretty impressive. Also in sports, the Yankees have such a baseball bias. I mean, the Cardinals are in St. Louis. They are not considered anywhere close to being as wonderful as the Yankees. We'll talk about the Yankees all the time. It actually hurts sports teams, because you can't, like, when you have a special athlete that chooses to be, chooses to go to a team, they're looking for the ability to market themselves and make money off of that marketing and their likeness and everything like that. And so they will specifically choose East Coast places where there's a media bias so that they can do better. One of the examples that I would say is there was a fellow that played for like Giancarlo Stanton, used to play on the Florida Marlins. And like the Cardinals were like, hey, come here, play here. And he's like, I'm not going to the Midwest. I'm going to New York. So anyway, there's a bias, and it's in this article, and you can see it. Now, you could say, well, statistically, they are being hit hard by inflation. Yeah, maybe. But there's also this thing. Anyway, Woodward said that the Charlotte-based company's customer is typically a blue-collar worker who cares about the food they feed their families and how to stretch their dollars. She said the fast food chain seized the opportunity to show it is tuned into customers' concerns. So far, she said, customers have responded with surprise and gratitude as they get more for their money. Now, Bojangles, okay, gas cards. Typically, they know who their audience is. Typically, a blue-collar worker who cares about the food they feed their families and how to stretch their dollar. It says they seized on the opportunity to show it is tuned into customers' concerns. Has McDonald's done anything? Right? Has Starbucks done anything? Are they the same? Are they the same consumers being fought over? Are they required to do anything? It's a fascinating issue. Gas prices are just one of the everyday costs that have jumped as inflation hovers at approximately a 40-year high. The national average for a gallon of gas hit $4.31 or 33 cents on March 11th, the highest price on record according to AAA. It has dropped off to an average of 4.098 as of Tuesday, but that's still a significant increase from the $2.86 average from a year ago. In some Northeast and West Coast states, gas prices are even higher. In California, for example, an average gallon of gas rang in at $5.74 as of Tuesday. The prices posted on big signs across the country drive just a fraction of household expenses, but can have an outsized impact on consumer confidence. The mindset effect is probably bigger than the wallet effect. Now, that guy probably makes six figures and probably doesn't care. I'm telling you, I go to the gas station, and what I used to get for $30 is now $60. You say, well, that's not true. It didn't double. I don't know, $57? I mean, it's close. Retail, and by the way, I drive a lot with my business. I'm sure there are many others that drive a lot with theirs. Retail sales impact. Consumers spend about 4 to 6% of their monthly expenses on gas. It is more of a burden in low-income households where the percentage can rise as much as 20%. Now, if Joe Biden cares so much about the poor and the downtrodden and the marginalized, why would he switch to green energy and just crush these people? I mean, why? And you say, well, there's none of his policies that would have fixed any of these problems. I disagree. Now, you say, well, John, what if it was a Republican? I wouldn't care. Same thing. Say the same thing. You're hurting the people that can't fight. That's not good. Not a good plan. Retailers will get fresh clues about how consumers are responding to those prices Thursday morning when the Commerce Department reports retail sales for March. Retail sales in February fell shy of expectations, signaling that consumers' pace of spending may be slowing down. Even before and by the way, do you want to know what's going to happen if the number does fall shy of expectations this time? It will be blamed on Putin. That is the administration's response to everything. Blame Putin. It's nothing we did. It's nothing we can do. We have no answers. We are not at fault. And it is obviously Putin. That is going to be the administration response to anything. Someone gets murdered in Atlanta, it'll be blame Putin. Okay? It will never have anything to do with this administration. They do not have anything to do with you. They're running their own thing like it's a big bubble, and they're in it, and they're running it for their own people. And unfortunately, the majority of the country is not their people. Mitch McConnell is their people. He will benefit. Anyway. Even before the March retail data are released, however, there are growing worries in the state of the consumer. Over the past 2 weeks, an uncertain economic backdrop has spurred analysts to downgrade some retailer stock and upgrade others. The war in Ukraine has injected additional uncertainty about a consumer mindset. Some economists have warned about the risk of a recession, even as employment remains low and job openings outpace people to fill them. Companies such as Macy's have acknowledged they will have to compete for discretionary dollars as some consumers decide between buying a new outfit, booking a vacation, or going out to dinner. Steve Sadove, I'm going with that, former Saks CEO, and senior advisor for MasterCard, said retailers are at an inflection point after a period of almost nirvana when consumers had fewer places to spend their money. During the earlier part of the pandemic, people put stimulus checks and extra savings towards purchases. Companies had fewer promotions and higher profits because of the lower than usual inventory. Holiday sales, for instance, hit an all-time record of $886 billion despite supply chain snarls and Omicron-fueled spikes in COVID cases. Sadov said the consumer remains healthy, but he expects spending to slow. Higher retail sales numbers now reflect elevated prices of gas and other goods, not just shoppers' appetite to spend, he said. Yeah. So here's what I don't understand. Now, like McDonald's, they just stopped working in Russia. They're like, we're not going to do this. A whole bunch of other companies said, we're not doing business in Russia. You invaded Ukraine, we're not going to do business there. Like, wouldn't that have to show up somewhere in their numbers? It's almost like they just stepped in it. Like they screwed it up on their own. Sending a message, while the higher price at the pump is a burden on consumers, some retailers see an opportunity to see a larger share of our households' budgets. Starting last week, cashiers at Giant Eagle grocery stores began promoting the company's loyalty program at the checkout. The privately held grocer has 200 supermarkets and 270 convenience stores with gas stations in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, Maryland, and West Virginia. One of the cornerstones of the programs is rewards that customers can redeem for dollars off groceries or gas. To nudge consumers to sign up, the grocer is offering 10 cents off each gallon of gas bought from its pump for the first 90 days. It recently waived the expiration date of rewards too. Rising fuel prices were on our mind as we made this change. Weinstein said that Giant Eagle has noticed gas prices have already changed purchasing patterns. Customers have been trending towards smaller, more frequent fill-ups. That's kind of weird. I always like the guy that goes in you're at the quick stop and the guy's like, he comes in with $5 bill and he's like, 5 on pump 8. And you're like, gas is almost $4 a gallon, dude. Like, what are you doing? Like that's not good. It just seems like a waste of time. Some companies are having a little fun with the otherwise serious matter. Starting this week, Krispy Kreme said it is tapping its strategic donut reserve. Over the next 4 weeks, it will price a dozen of its glazed donuts on Wednesdays to match the national average for a gallon of gas. That's less than half of its typical price of over $10. Wow, $10 for a dozen donuts? I don't go there, so don't make fun of me. I had no idea. And I don't normally eat a dozen donuts on my own. I know what you guys are thinking. Like, oh, he doesn't even know about... No, I don't. Because I buy like 3 donuts when I go somewhere. And it's less than $5 most of the time. Sometimes I buy something for my wife. It's a little bit more. But anyway, Dave Skina, Chief Marketing Officer, said the idea was born from his own team's complaints about gas prices. The lighthearted idea, he said, gets at a very real problem for household budgets. Gas prices are unique because the billboard-sized numbers are in consumers' faces. It's very visible, and it's not very substitutable. And for a lot of people, it has a significant impact on other things they can afford, especially on things that are fun to have. Like donuts are fun to have. I just hit the record button. I literally have no content now. I literally have no content. Ugh. Well, we'll have to figure it out. For membership-based warehouse clubs, branded gas stations and their lower prices have become a way for membership-based warehouse clubs, branded gas stations, and their lower price have become a way to draw in consumers. Sam's Club says some members are signing up specifically for cheaper prices at the pump. When they fill up, the club looks for ways to move them inside. We see gas as being a member benefit, so we always want to be super competitive. And then that becomes a traffic driver to the club. This month, Sam's Club is offering 10% back in-store credit every Tuesday for club members who use one of its signature credit cards at any gas station. Warehouse Club competitor BJ's is encouraging shoppers to fill up their fridges and tanks at the same time. Customers who spend $100 more in a club this month get 50% or 50 cents off per gallon on the same day of the transaction. That's pretty sweet. If they shop with one of BJ's co-branded credit cards, they get an additional 10 cents off during the 1 month promotion. Costco, another warehouse club, saw sales jump in March as gas prices crept higher. Its comparable sales rose 17.2% in the 5 weeks ended April 3rd. Compared with the year ago period. Some of those sales gains came from gas prices and customers who shopped at stores after being drawn to the warehouse's gas pumps. All right, so here's what I would say to that. My wife loves to stop at Sam's or Costco to get gas. Loves it. I do not like sitting in line for gas. I find it to be annoying. I just feel like I have other things to do, like anything. So I don't particularly care. I just want to get, and I typically go to the same place to get gas every time. Now, the daughter, she also does the Sam's and Costco. She's like that. So I don't know. There's other kids in the house. We'll have to see what they do when they get older, but it is kind of weird. We're not on the same page. Now, I mean, if I'm at a place and I need gas, I'll get it. But I noticed yesterday I had to get gas for the car, and wife uses the car too, and she's like, didn't say anything. And if once it gets to a certain point, which would be 1/8 of a tank, like I refuse to drive the car anymore. It must go immediately to the gas station. You must get gas. Can't run it down. God forbid you. I always tell my family the Zimmerman story, and that was there was a nice fellow in my high school, good looking guy, I guess. I mean, I don't really understand those things, but he had a Jeep and he was on the highway or something, and the Jeep ran out of gas, and he got out and to push the Jeep off the road, and someone came up and hit him, knocked his legs out, and was bad. So it's always been for me like, I better have enough gas in the tank now. That's just where I'm at. That's all I have. So anyway, be prepared to see like something similar like, hey, inflation is high. You should buy a swimming pool. That's right. The swimming pool allows you to not have to drive other places for a pool. And then you should say, hey, inflation is high. You should buy this Ziploc bagging system, this airlock system. This way you can save on food prices. So many Americans waste money on food now. You don't have to with this wonderful product. Like, just get ready, because every single thing that someone's marketing will be in the context of inflation. Like, for me, I don't know how I would do it with Deerwood Realty. It'd be like, hey, inflation is high. You can't buy a house anyway. Try to, I don't know. See, it doesn't work. Wait until the market changes. Oh, here it is. Hey, inflation is high. The best way to beat inflation, according to Lawrence Yoon, chief economist at Realtors, or for the National Association of Realtors, is to buy a home. That's your best hedge against inflation. Now, we can go find a home to buy at some point. It'll take a while. But, see, it doesn't work. My business doesn't work that way. Hey, if you sign up with Deerwood Realty, I'll give you a $10 gas card. Hey, inflation is high. We understand that at Deerwood Realty. I will give you, if you sign up with us this week, Let's go the next 10 days. I will give you a $10 gas card. Oh. Best I can do. Let's look at some luxury homes in San Francisco, California. Do you think these people care about inflation? I don't. I don't think they care at all. Let's see. Here's the first one. 29 million. 2950 Pacific Avenue, 13 beds. It's not even built, I don't think. Let's see. We'll see. If it's not built, we'll get out of there real quick. Year built 1907. What are the details here? The Gold Coast resident offers a once-in-a-generation opportunity, soaring above the prominent neighbors of Broadway. The newly reimagined 2895 Broadway fully repurposes the existing home and creates new living and entertaining space built into the hillside below, punctuated by crisp lines, soaring atriums, and cascading grand staircase, tall ceilings, and intersecting volumes. I don't know what that means. What's an intersecting volume? The finished product becomes an icon of contemporary design and a feat of engineering. Designed by internationally revered firm Schmada in collaboration with Troon Pacific, the offering comes with fully approved architectural plans and building permits. Plans available on request. A 7.5 wide lot overlooking iconic Broadway, GGB. I don't know what that is. And San Francisco Bay. Over 5 years of design, development, and permitting yields this shovel-ready build-to-suit opportunity. So we will not be looking at this house. 29.5 million. It doesn't exist. 28 million. It is a little bit down the street. 2698 Pacific Avenue. 8 bedrooms, 6.5 baths, 10,734 square feet. And who knows the square footage to acre conversion. 46 pictures. Been on the market 307 days. Built in 1906 with a 4-car garage. Property details says originally built in 1906 by the renowned father and son architect team of Newsom and Newsom. This classic revival residence, located on one of the premier blocks of Pacific Heights, recently experienced a resurgence of glowing accolades. 28 of the best and brightest designers in San Francisco descended upon the 4-story, 11,000 square foot mansion and transformed it from a stately, handsome home into a dazzling, jaw-dropping icon. The Mac mansion of yesteryear was artfully reimagined for contemporary aesthete. I don't even know what that word is. While respectfully paying homage to its rich heritage, juxtaposed with the modern designer decor, classic architectural details still abound from the grand escalier. I mean, I don't even know. Crafted in dark wood with wrought iron balusters to the immediately recognizable circular temple-style portico with white marble front entrance. This one-of-a-kind property has been in the hands of a few owners, such as financier Julius Mack, the Oric family, for 50 years, and a prominent orthomolecular doctor. What do I care what somebody else had? Like yesterday we had what is it? Neil Glenn, John Glenn, his house. I don't even know these people, but anyway, let's look. So you've taken a nice house built in 1906, and you've redone the entire house so that it's modern. And like, we're supposed to be happy about that. It doesn't look very modern. That just looks nice. That is ugly. For 25.8 million, I expect a better kitchen. The food better cook itself. If I'm not mistaken, there's the door to the entrance. I could be mistaken, though. I mean, there's the grand staircase. Like, oh, we got a designer in here and put a new painting in there. Oh, yippee. How contemporary of you. That's nice. I mean, is that contemporary? I drew stencils on the wall. Ugh. And that's a beautiful view. I mean, I would have marked that as like the number one issue. Like, hey, look at this view. That seems to be like a reason to buy the place. I mean, that's just ugly. There's your laundry room. And bathroom? I don't know. It's hard to tell. Oh, there's a nice car. I think it's a Mercedes. There's your house, and there's all the other houses. And there's the ocean. There's the bridge. It was sold in 2017 for $8 million. It's put on the market for $25 million. It seems reasonable, right? Okay. Let's look at another. Now, this is $19.5 million. 8 bedrooms, 8.5 bath, 10,345 square feet on a 1/4 acre lot. 29 pictures, I like that. 392 days on the market, not so much. This grand historic home is a place out of time. Well, that's not, I don't know if that's a good thing. An extraordinary combination of history and possibility with 8 bedrooms, 8 baths, 4-car garage, and front lawn. Oh, it's got a front lawn. This property is a rare gem. The south-facing level yard is one of only a handful in the city with such scale and usability. Entering the home, you're greeted by a large foyer connecting to a 20-foot vaulted ceiling living room with views of, I don't know what GGB is. Golden Gate Bridge. Thank you. Alcatraz and Palace of Fine Arts, a cozy library with a wet bar, and formal dining room with floor-to-ceiling French doors that open to the front yard. The second level features a spacious primary suite and 2 additional ensuite bedrooms. The upper level hosts 3 ensuite beds, sweeping views, large game room with elevator access, love the elevator, and rooftop terrace. Additional spaces include a main level kitchen, catering kitchen, lower level for staff quarters. Oh, you have to have staff quarters, obviously. Laundry, elevator, and garage access. This is a stupid line. 2828 Vallejo, which is the address, offers unimaginable space ready to be re-envisioned for whatever you need in today's modern life. Well, if it's unimaginable, how can you re-envision it? Okay. Well, I mean, that's a nice entrance, right? Why are you redoing this house? Like, why don't you just leave it alone? Oh, because, you know, like the pictures are probably like, they kind of lie a little bit. But it's nice. That's not. That's terrible. Wow. There's your view. I think you can probably see the other house that we just looked at. Huh. Good for them for having the floor plan. You need a floor plan. That's just should be standard on listings anymore. One others. Now, I don't know if this is like, whenever you do this to me, I can't tell. No, I don't need help. I don't need help right now. Thank you. Whenever you do this, oh goodness, we had a restart of the. Okay, so whenever you do the first picture of the view of the Golden Gate Bridge and not of the house, I get worried that the house is terrible. 58 pictures built in 1908, 67 days on the market. Property details: this Beaux Arts era masterpiece from the early 20th century has been seamlessly transformed into a stunning contemporary residence with beautiful transitional finishes complementing the dazzling architectural backdrop of Albert Farr, one of San Francisco's legendary architects of the era. The magnificently scaled public rooms are wonderful for the grandest of occasions. A large eat-in kitchen with a terrace, a family room on the lower level stepping out to the garden, and a spectacular pent room leading to the 360-degree view of roof terrace provided amazing spaces for casual, everyday indoor-outdoor dining, lounging and entertaining while enjoying scenic vistas of the bay, city, and GGB. Enjoy a quintessentially San Francisco lifestyle in one of the city's most sought after and vibrant historical neighborhoods, just a short drive to the world-class tech and finance hubs of Soma and Fidi, I don't know, and enjoying easy access to Marin and the wine country. Okay, $17.5 million, 7 beds, 6.5 baths, 9,000 square feet on a 5,600 square foot lot. That's nice. I like that. There's certain things like you see in every house and you wonder, like, do they just go to the same store? Or this here's a little dicey. Like, okay, so this is your view. Okay. Like, what were we taking a picture of there? Eat-in kitchen. I mean, it's only been on the market for 67 days so far. I mean, there's like what you want to try and promote, like the view. And like here, it's like we're underneath. We can't see over the railing. That's what we want. That should be like picture number 2 and 3. There is a garage, it looks like. I don't understand this part here. And why you wouldn't put that there is a back, there is a garage. I have no idea. Anyway, that's what we got for today. Let's check the chat just to see. Oh, there's no one in the chat. Well, how embarrassing. I don't have any content for today. I'm going to have to use yesterday's content on my social channels today. That's depressing, but it is what it is. Let's look at this article. I got to look up Pew. I don't know if they're like legit. I don't know if they're a political hackery. Sorry, I got an email from work. I don't want to go do something, and yet I'm going to have to go. It's going to irritate me. Financial issues. Top the list of reasons U.S. adults live in multi-generational homes. Nearly 4 in 10 men aged 25 to 29 now live with older relatives. That's weird. It's very odd. Multi-generational living has grown sharply in the U.S. over the past 5 decades and shows no sign of peaking. When asked why they share their home with their relatives, Americans often give practical reasons related to finances or family caregiving. But the experience also has an emotional component. About a quarter of adults in multi-generational homes say it is stressful all or most of the time, and more than twice that share say it's mostly or always rewarding. These experiences with multi-generational living vary by demographic group, especially by age and income. There are generational differences, especially in the terms of stress and money between the views of adult children and parents who share a home. According to an analysis of census data from 1971 to 2021, the number of people living in multi-generational family households quadrupled during that time period, reaching 59 million in March of 2021. The share more than doubled as well as to 18% of the U.S. population. This increase in multi-generational living has been fed by social forces that include rapid growth of the U.S., Asian, and Hispanic populations who, along with Black Americans, each are more likely than white Americans to live with extended family, especially if they are immigrants. That seems racist. By age, the highest share in this living arrangement is among young adults, a group that compared with prior generations, when they were young, generally stayed in school longer, postpones or forgoes marriage, and delays forming their own households. Among young adults aged 25 to 29, nearly a third live in multi-generational households, often in their parents' home. Nearly 4 in 10 young men in this age group are in multi-generational households, and are 26% of similarly aged young women. Living in multi-generational household appears to confer a financial benefit by buffering residents against poverty, according to the census data. Americans living in multi-generational households are less likely to be poor than those living in other types of households. This is especially true of some groups that are economically vulnerable, such as unemployed people. And my thought in that is, if the young people are sitting at home, their parents' house, and they're saving money for a house, they're saving money to get out of the house. That makes all the sense in the world. They're just pissing away money to piss away money because they think that's the best plan for them. That's just stupid. That's just stupid. I don't care if it's a cultural thing. I don't care anything about it. You've got to get on your own. You've got to fight. You've got to kick and scream, and you got to go make something of yourself. That's the way the world works. It's sad, but that's the way it is. Although majorities across income groups cite financial issues as a major or minor reason for residing in a multi-generational family household, lower income adults are likely to say the living arrangement helps them financially. 50% says it does so at least a little, compared to 36% of middle income adults and 24% of upper income adults. Well, look, if you can't afford your own place, you're going to be a lower income individual. Like, that's part of being poor. So it's a very odd, I mean, some of this stuff is kind of obvious, right? We don't need a research department to come up with this. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Parents living with adult children and adults living with parents are about equally likely to say that finances are a major reason for their living arrangement. But among those living with parents, younger adults are much more likely than older ones to say this. And while 53% of adult children who live with their parents says it helps them financially at least a little, a smaller share of parents living with an adult child say the same. Parents are more likely than their adult children to say that living with extended family hurts their finances at least a little. That's absolutely right. And it's obvious, because you're sitting there and you're floating someone that's not doing anything. It's very annoying. You're going to think that as a parent. It's obvious, especially if you don't make a lot of money. The nationally representative survey of 9,676 U.S. adults included 1,548 who live in multi-generational households was conducted. Okay, what difference does it make? Among other key findings, a third of U.S. adults in multi-generational households say caregiving is a major reason for their living arrangement, including 25% who cite adult caregiving and 12% who cite childcare. That's, to me, different. To me, that's different. If you're actually taking care of a relative, that's a totally different thing than just living in someone's house. They're two different things. A quarter of adults in multi-generational households say caregiving actually is occurring in their homes, either in the form of personal care for another adult in the household or care for the child younger than 18 who is not the caregiver's own child. That's odd. This whole thing is kind of odd. More adults living in multi-generational households say the experience has been very positive or somewhat positive than say it has been somewhat negative or very negative. So why, look, even if it were the most negative thing ever, why would you say that? You're living in someone else's house. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, why would you say that it's terrible? You're still living there. If it was so bad, you'd move out. That's why this is kind of a dumb article. Among adults younger than 40, men are more likely than women to live in multi-generational households. Among those ages 40 and over, women are more likely to do so. For the most part, reasons for living in a multi-generational household do not vary between men and women. Women are more likely than men to say a change in relationship status is a major reason. Among those living with a parent, men are more likely than women to say this is the arrangement they've always had. Parents living with an adult child are more likely than adult children living with a parent to say their living situation is at least somewhat positive. So the kids are they're not even, that's more than 50%. We're not gonna rip on kids. Parents are more likely than adult children to pay the rent or mortgage when the two generations share the home. Exactly. Exactly. So junior is basically floating nothing, can spend any money that they make on anything they want to while the parents get to pay for everything. Stupid. Upper income adults are less likely than those with lower or middle incomes to cite caregiving as a reason for living in a multi-generational household. Interesting. Upper income adults are less likely than those with lower or middle incomes to cite caregiving as a reason for living in a multi-generational household. So upper income adults say, I don't care if mom is sick. I'm not helping. Yeah. Upper income adults in multi-generational households are more likely than those in other income groups to see the arrangement as temporary. So like you're making bank, you're like, I'm just going to stay here for a while. I'm not going to stay here the rest of my life. That's fascinating. Among most racial groups and Hispanics, well, really, Hispanics are not a racial group? God, this is getting so complicated. The share of people in poverty is lower in multi-generational households than other type of households. Interesting. I don't know. Like, as it relates to real estate, okay, I currently have one buyer who says, my mom's getting old and we're probably going to have to take care of her. So I'm looking for a house where if things get rough, she can come and live here and be comfortable. That's one buyer I have out of about 10. Maybe. I don't have as many anymore. They've been a terrible month. So we know that to be the case. But, I mean, if you're a young person and you've got a job and you're not saving money to move out, then you are really making a big error in your life because you've got to get out. No one wants to hang out with you when you're in your parents' house. Like, you're supposed to be defining who you are. And you say, well, I'll be poor in an apartment. I'll be poor in a different house. I won't be able to save up money for a house. You know what? It sucks. You got to make sacrifices and you got to do it. That's the way it is. Now you say, well, my culture says I should stay home. No, don't, your culture, like if you're in America, you're an American. That's your culture. I don't know. It's a problem. But again, from a real estate perspective, let's say you are a 25-year-old. Let's say you are a 27-year-old. And you've got a job and you go to work every day. You work hard. And it's still not enough for you to afford a house. And you're saving money. You know, in this market, I could see that being the case. I mean, $200,000 in the Midwest right now, at least in St. Louis, isn't getting you much. Less than 1,000 square feet and probably not 3 bedrooms. Even if you did have 3 bedrooms and less than 1,000 square feet, the size of the bedrooms would be like 10 by 10. So I understand. I get it. You can say that everyone's let you down. You could be bitter about it. Won't do you any good. I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to have to go out and make something of yourself. But anyway, that's that article. Let's move on. I thought this was this is a very heavy article for agents. So if you're not an agent, you might not find this very interesting, but maybe just from a cursory perspective, you might. The pros and cons of buying leads if you're an agent. So what are the pros and cons of, I would like to know that. I don't buy any leads. If you're an established real estate agent, you likely already have some dependable methods for lead generation. Maybe you have some strategies that you feel work well, but you'd like to diversify your lead generation. If you're a new agent, you may not have any tried and true approaches in place yet. All of these scenarios inevitably lead to the question of whether or not you should buy leads from lead generation sources. The alternative to buying leads is creating your own funnel through marketing. There are advantages of this, including the fact that you can develop your own brand. However, it takes time to build momentum, and strategies like SEO and social media management aren't necessarily going to help you if you need leads fast. When you opt for paid leads, you skip some traditional steps and you're connected right away with an interested buyer or seller, or at least that's the theory. Below are the upsides as well as the downsides of buying leads. Let me tell you what the number one downside of buying leads is. Like, let's say you get a lead and it takes 8 months to close. And you either have two ways you do leads. You pay for them up front or you pay for them as a percentage of your commission. If you pay for them as a percentage of your commission, then you end up with this situation where you're paying the brokerage as an agent. You're paying the brokerage, you're paying the lead source, and you walk away with a very small check. And you say, well, I can make it up in volume. Well, like right now, I currently have, like I said, maybe 10 buyers, maybe 8. Okay. And every weekend from Friday at like 4 o'clock to Sunday at 6 o'clock, I'm showing houses. Like that's all I do. And if I add more buyers, that means I just show even more houses. I'm not getting anywhere, because in this market, you don't always get the house. So it's a real problem. So, and then how much money do you have to spend on this stuff? Are you going to use your profits from your previous sales that weren't related to lead generation or paying for leads? Dicey. Says the pros. Here's the pros. The upsides of paying for leads include you get a steady stream of leads. You basically get a name and a phone number, maybe an email address. When you buy leads in real estate, you're getting access to a constant and consistent flow of leads and possible clients. Finding new clients is one of the hardest parts of real estate. When you buy leads, you skip things like cold calls and you can work on other parts of marketing and branding, but you also give yourself the luxury of time in doing so. Lead generation services put you in contact with people who are already interested in buying or selling, upping your chances of conversion. You're also getting access to a wider pool of potential clients. When you rely on only traditional methods like referrals, you're not getting as much variety in your potential clients. This can be a problem, and let me try to explain it to you like this. Say you're 25 years old and you get your real estate license, and all of your friends are in their 20s, okay? And eventually they start growing up. They start moving out of the house. They start having kids. They start getting married. They want to buy houses, and you're right there for them, okay? You don't know anything that you're doing. You're just in the business, and you just happen to pick up all this stuff. And so then, you hit about age 35 to 40 and they've gotten their first divorce. So you help one of the members of their family find a new place. And now you're, in your 30s and 40s. And so it works out. And then, later on, they might get remarried. They might have a better financial situation. They might want to sell that starter home and actually buy just a mansion. And you're right there. And then, like after a while, they're kind of sick and they want to move out. Like they need to move to managed care or downsize, and you're right there. It's a whole life cycle. And what can happen, like if you're not careful, is you're only moving with that life cycle. So one of the things I enjoy more than anything is showing houses to young buyers, first-time home buyers, because like that's just a whole different generation in the start of their life cycle. And I know that if I do a good job, they're likely to refer me to others, and they're likely to use me again in the future. But I'll take any lead. I don't care where it comes from. Increased visibility. Most modern consumers start their real estate process online. They search houses online, and many often already have an idea of the houses they're interested in when they begin working with an agent. Buyers and sellers also go online to find agents. You're increasing your exposure when you pay for leads, and you're going straight to where your targeted audience already is. That's exactly right. I mean, like for me, if I'm a buyer, I'm going to like Zillow or Realtor.com. It's just where I go. I'm not going to some local Joe's real estate website. I probably should, but most of them are crap. So, and they don't have good SEO, so you never know that they even exist. So you're better off like dealing with someone that deals with a high volume number of leads, because they can kind of push you in a certain spot. Now that's the theory. It's not the business I want to be in. Faster growth. When you try to generate one lead at a time, it isn't easy to scale your marketing and your business. You can only do so much when you're relying on traditional lead generation methods. You're going to be able to scale and grow much faster when you work with a company that connects you with paid leads. You can also follow up on more than one lead at a time, allowing you to automate some of the elements of nurturing potential clients. You can develop a repeatable set of processes and an efficient pipeline. That's true. That's true. Paid leads help you get your foot in the door. If you're a new agent, you don't have the name and brand recognition of experienced agents. Now, name and brand recognition is big in our business, but not that big. Like if you're the top 5 to 10 agents in a location, like in a whole city, maybe somebody's going to know of you. But like if you're not in the top 10, no one cares. Like no one's gonna use you. Now, one of the mistakes I made with Deerwood Realty was I always pushed Deerwood Realty first and never John Schenk of Deerwood Realty. And now I'm competing on the Deerwood Realty basis. I'm competing against like Keller Williams. I'm competing against Remax, where I can't really win that. Like their branding, I mean, they spend millions, maybe billions of dollars a year on their brands, but I could have spent more money on John Schenk of Deerwood Realty. I could have been the brand. That's where I made a significant error in the beginning, which I'm trying to rectify now, but it takes time. I don't know if I read this one. If you're a new agent, you don't have time to name brand recognition of experienced agents, which I think is when I stopped. If you don't have much of a history of working with clients, your referral business will likely be non-existent. When you buy leads, you can start to get your foot in the door with clients, which will help you build a more robust business. What are the downsides of buying leads? Well, what are they? As with anything, there are cons to weigh when you're thinking about buying leads. The cost of buying leads is the number one negative factor you have to think about. You have to consider the price in your budget, and if you're starting as a new agent, it's a potential financial risk. You pay monthly and an upfront cost. You're also paying with no guarantee that you'll get a client or close a sale. You have to do the math to calculate their potential ROI, and those are very terrible calculations. Just as an example, like 2 years ago, I was marketing in a particular way, and I did awesome. I got like 3 leads for that year from it. Okay. And then the next year I got nothing. Well, was it the marketing? Like it didn't change. What did change? Well, the market changed significantly. So I don't particularly ascribe to the idea that you can calculate a good ROI over time. That's just my thought. Not all the leads are qualified. You need to ensure you're using one of the highly rated lead generators. And even then, there's always a chance that the lead is a dud and goes nowhere. Finally, you also have to remember that many other real estate agents in your area are also buying leads. That's exactly right. That means you're competing for the same leads, and many are going to be first come, first serve. If you don't act fast enough or you're not systematic in your approach, you may be losing out. And that is my number one issue. Let me go ahead and put the screen back. Just check to see. Oh, I got 2 viewers now. Hey out there. Keep watching. Enjoy with me. Spend some time. I don't normally get viewers, so thank you for coming. Oh, now I scared you away. Damn it. That's bad. I was doing so well, and then I scared the person away. Anyway, let's go back to the main screen here. So on the idea of leads, okay, if you don't have like a setup, if you don't have like, hey, when the lead comes in, this is what we're going to do. If you don't have a structure, and if you don't have somebody to nurture those leads over time, you're just throwing money away, because most of the time you're meeting someone, while they may be interested in buying or selling, it's going to take them maybe months before they actually commit to something. And you've got to be working with that person the whole time. Well, like my business model isn't that way. I mean, I have to get stuff done. I have to keep going. And so anyway, like what was I saying? The point is just keep, like, I don't know, as far as if I were a new agent, would I buy leads? Probably not. Would I buy leads now? Probably not. If I were bigger, would I buy leads? Probably not, because I don't know that there's got to be a balance between what you spend and what you make. And if you're just working to pay other people, it's not worth it. Me. That's my opinion. So anyway, with that, I'm going to head out. I got a real bad problem here with my not having recorded at the beginning. So now I have nothing to put on social media today. I don't know. Anyway, thank you for watching. I will see you tomorrow at 9, and we will go over something. We'll find something.